Tracy Take. I am your co-host Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and we will be doing our Week 15 predictions. If you have not seen already, Ryan and I, we did our Week 15 Thursday Night Football predictions last night, as well as recapped Week 14. So check that out if this is your first time here. Also subscribe as well if this is your first time here. Ryan and I, we love growing our community, and we would love to have a goal of trying to be at 1,000 subscribers. Well, I guess essentially as soon as possible. So welcome, subscribe to this channel, like this video, and also leave a comment on some of your thoughts on our predictions for tonight. And Ryan, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
4 weeks left. We already predict the game for tomorrow night, the San Francisco versus Seattle. So we got 15 other games that we got to predict. It's gonna be crazy. A lot of intense matchups, a lot of playoff implication matchups right here. And so it's gonna be a good match, or it's gonna be a good week. And I don't even think really are there any. I'm trying to even think of. I'm sure we'll go through some of these games, but there's not too many dud games like where there isn't some sort of playoff implication at least left with this point. So, but let's get started now. This is the first week of some of the Saturday games. So there's 3 Saturday games, so we're going to be going through them in order. Saturday afternoon, the first one, Indianapolis going to Minnesota. Who do you have winning this game and why?
Minnesota. They're the better team.
Okay, that answers the who and why. Yeah, they just are the better team. I mean, it's interesting too. It's not like I don't think Indy has a shot here, because if you look at what the weaknesses are for Minnesota, it's going to be they have a weak offensive line, and then their defense and secondaries in particular is not really that great. And if you kind of actually look at the strengths of Indianapolis, it is, I would say, their defense. They can get after the quarterback, and also I think their receiving core is pretty good, led by Michael Pittman. Alec Pierce is on his way up. Paris Campbell is having a decent season as a number 2, number 3. And Matt Ryan has a good connection with his tight end. So the biggest issue, honestly, just been the consistency at quarterback for the Colts, but and the offensive line as well, because that's really stunted Jonathan Taylor. But Daniil Hunter and company, yes, like they can get after the quarterback, but they haven't been playing super great this year. What's really been going well for Minnesota has been their offense, and so the question is just going to be if Indianapolis can kind of keep up with them, because and stop them just enough to where the Colts can outscore them.
Yeah, I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't think the Colts are good enough.
It's so weird.
That. Like on paper they should be, but like they just don't play up to that level. And I like nothing against Jeff Saturday. I think he's a great leader, but I just don't think he's smart enough X's and O's wise to really set his team up to win. So
well, and it definitely could be an experience thing. But here's one thing, and the outlier I will absolutely say will be the fourth quarter of the Dallas game. But even in that game in particular, that game was close. They beat Kansas City. Of course, that was earlier in the year, and then they nearly beat Philadelphia. So what's weird, it's like there's talent on this team. It just seems like they just haven't pieced it together.
Yeah.
Week in and week out.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm going to be curious about is if Indy keeps it close for 45 minutes, but then they're going to have 15 minutes of just dead time. And so it's going to be, when is that 15 minutes going to be? And that's a quarter of the game. I mean, it's like, so that's what I'm just, can they piece together a good 60-minute football game? And I just don't think they can do it. Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, they're going to play 60 minutes. I mean, like Justin Jefferson, as I've said, he's going to get his, he's going to at minimum 7 to 8 catches for 130 yards and a touchdown. Like that's already chalked up. Like that's what he's going to get at minimum,
Yeah. And that to me, it's like, I just don't know if the Colts can match that. I also think there's a different morale going around in the Vikings locker room than in the Colts locker room. I think the Colts might already be looking forward to 2023. It's like the Vikings are, all right, well, like we have a legit shot at making a playoff run. So let's make,
also I think if they win this game, I'm pretty sure they clinched the division.
Yeah, they'll be at 11 wins, and the Lions they're in second 6. And they're 6 and 7. So
at home Saturday, technically a short week. I don't really think it's too big of a deal. But yeah, Minnesota's going to win this one. We both had this one winning. And so moving on to the next one, it's Baltimore at Cleveland. Another big game, playoff implication. Cleveland's essentially out of the playoffs. Technically, they're still mathematically in, but they're pretty much out. So for me, this will definitely be a caveat. But like right now, I have Baltimore winning this game, and I might still keep them winning this game no matter who's at quarterback. But definitely, my confidence will change, and I will definitely consider more a change in this pick. Lamar, there are reports like Lamar Jackson didn't practice today, but there are positive reports that he's getting closer to returning. We'll just have to see how that knee's doing. Do not know if Tyler Huntley's going to play because he got a concussion in the last game, if he's still going to be able to call. And I think it's Anthony Brown, I think is the third string quarterback. But the reason though why I'm still leaning towards Baltimore right now is if they look at the game that they played earlier in the year, and of course, yes, it's Jacoby Brissett. That was the quarterback for the Browns. But Baltimore had a minuscule game. Like I think Lamar Jackson only threw for 160 to 180 yards. He only ran for 40 to 60 yards. Not really a great game from Lamar as we've seen. And they didn't really run the ball that great overall either against them. And Cleveland didn't run the ball that well either, even with Nick Chubb and company. I think Jacoby Brissett threw for like 225 yards, mainly to Amari Cooper. So that being said, I think like even if it is their third string quarterback, I still think Baltimore can eke this one out, keep their division lead, and also keep the then help increase the chances of at least clinching a playoff berth.
Yeah. So I have Cleveland winning this. The last report I read was that the Ravens, the diagnosis was that it is hopeful for Lamar Jackson to be playing on Christmas Eve. So even if I think he is able to come back, how effective will he really be outside of the pocket? And for me, that makes them really one-dimensional. At least in the first game, they were able to keep the Browns on their toes. And in this game, I just don't think they're going to be able to do that. I think Deshaun Watson, he showed some sign of improvement last week. I know it wasn't a lot, but he did show that he's knocking off some of the rust. And it pains me to say, but I'm picking Cleveland to win this one. So
yeah, this is essentially a early preseason, and then almost game tape going into training camp for the Browns. Yeah, and we all kind of knew that once when Deshaun Watson got his suspension, but they have talent similar to the Colts. They have talent on their team. And now of course it's still a different circumstance just because with the Deshaun Watson suspension. But their team, if he can come back and be the guy who we all remember him as a football player, like they could be deadly. You know, Amari Cooper's been playing well. Donovan Peoples-Jones has been starting to grow into that role as receiver too. They have some other young prospects, and David Njoku's had a great season, especially for him. So I think Kareem Hunt's not going to be there next year. He's going to be hitting free agency. Someone's going to snag him because he's too good of a prospect, essentially.
I would say prospect, but
sorry, not prospect.
At this point of a player, he's
player is a better way to say it. He's too good of a player not to at least take a flyer on and maybe try and bring him in. So let's move on though now to the last Saturday night game. This is a big one. It's going to be Miami at Buffalo. Who do you have winning this game?
So I have Buffalo. To me, there's a lot of speculation kind of going into this game about Miami. How's their defense playing on the road? Typically, Miami teams have started to fall off a little bit at the end of seasons. Is Tyreek healthy? Like, there's a lot of questions about this Miami team going into Buffalo and going into Orchard Park at a primetime night game.
In late December.
Like that's hard to do. And especially that's hard to do for any team. It's really hard to do for South Florida playing in 70 degrees at this time of year. Then, like, I want to say the weather. I mean, we have a massive cold front coming in across the whole country. The weather is going to be frigid, like extremely cold. So
It's so funny too, especially like because being up in Buffalo, and it's like how Buffalo plays is absolutely opposite. They play like a Miami team.
Yeah,
like they play like they're flinging the ball around 12 months out of the year, getting sweaty. It's like hard nosed, fast, hot football, and that's not Buffalo at all. You think that they would be able to run the ball somewhat decently, and so that's why I'm curious what the temperature is going to be like. I do have Buffalo winning this game. I also just think that they're a poor matchup for Miami, even though I know Miami beat them earlier in the year. If you go look at that game, I think Miami only had just over 200 yards of total offense.
The Bills made a lot of mistakes in key positions. It's actually not going to be that cold. It's going to be below freezing, but it should only be about 25 degrees. So that's still cold, but that's
still cold. That's still definitely cold. It's below freezing. But for Buffalo, though, I just think that they match up well against Miami. Miami doesn't run the ball well, and so the Bills can definitely stop the run with that front four and front seven anyways. And then their secondary is really good. I think that they'd be able to contain Tyreek and Jalen Waddle and Tua as well, just in general. So the fact that, they beat the Bills earlier in the year, but I think the Bills still put up 400 plus yards against them of total offense. They just could not score, and they kept making errors. So Bills to me are going to win this one. Even though the Bills have been off, it seems like Miami definitely has been offer. more off. So, but that's gonna do the Saturday games. Let's move on now to the Sunday games. And as always, when we go to talk about any Sunday game where the Falcons are playing, thanks to ESPN, they'll always be the first game that we talk about. So the Falcons are going to New Orleans. Desmond Ridder is going to be making his first start. Looks like Marcus Mariota is actually on IR now. He's getting surgery on his knee. And for me, Kyle Pitts is also out for the season as well. For me, honestly, I know the Saints are 4-9, but I actually think they've been playing decently good football. They should have beat Tampa Bay. They actually didn't play poorly against San Francisco. Wasn't that game 13-0, right?
Yeah, it was like a very odd.
So,
score.
And that's what, and obviously everyone's going to be talking about the shutout. But if you look at that game, though, New Orleans was in the red zone multiple times, came away with no points the entire game, either through turnovers or having to go for it on fourth down or deciding to go for it on fourth down and didn't get any points. And on the flip side, though, that Saints defense went into San Francisco and only held that all 13 points. They did the same thing against Tampa Bay until the final 3 minutes where they absolutely just blew that game. And so they should have beat Tampa Bay. Not saying they should have beat San Francisco, but I think they played much better than what the scoreline portrayed. And so for me, Andy Dalton provides the consistency that the Saints need to be a game manager, to be their Alex Smith, their Jimmy Garoppolo. And coming in now with a rookie quarterback going up against a tougher defense, they don't have Kyle Pitts. Falcons have been running the ball well, but the Saints have a good run defense. I just think it's going to be too much, and I think the Saints are going to pull this one out. I'm probably going to be like a 24-14 victory.
Yeah. If this game was 5 weeks ago, 5-6 weeks ago, maybe I would have picked it different, because the Falcons were 500 going into the
teams
the lead in the division. But now, like, I know that they're very close in record, but I just think the Saints have so much more potential to be playing well over the Falcons.
Yeah.
And really, I don't want to say the Falcons are setting Desmond Ridder up to fail. However, he's not going to have your guys' best weapon out there. Your guys' offensive line is banged up. And it's like, and then you're going to put him out there against probably a top 10 defense in the NFL.
Well, it's going to be game film. You're going to need to have your welcome to the NFL moment, anyways. So it's going to be tough. I mean, I'm sure he's going to make mistakes. One of the things about Mariota that was nice is he struggled throwing the ball through the air, obviously. And so the passing defense definitely hindered. But he provided a veteran consistency and was able to, he knew what his role was, which kept Falcons in games. And Desmond's going to have to. I think he's going to have to learn that, or Arthur Smith, or there's going to be a lot of RPOs, a lot of like, here's your one read. If not, tuck it and run, try and make something happen.
Yeah. No, I get that.
And if we're seeing that, a lot of young quarterbacks are doing that now. Justin Fields, that's now the Bears' offense. Healthy is like they're primarily going to have Justin Fields run because and they don't really have the receiver weapons either. But I'm positive though in this game we're looking at these two rookie receivers. Chris Olave, I think he's close to being 1,000-yard receiver if he's not already.
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah, and Drake London's having a good year as well, all things considered. He's clearly their number one receiver and is going to keep improving. Hopefully become the elite wide receiver one that we all hoped he would be when he got drafted, especially since he was the first one taken off the board. So
yeah, exactly. I think he's a good one. He's a Mike Evans guy to me, though. He's not a Stephon Diggs or
yeah, you know what? Hey, if your ceiling's Mike Evans, that's not a bad
No.
That's not a bad ceiling.
That's a first ballot Hall of Fame wide receiver in my opinion.
Yeah.
Although I tend to like the wide receivers a little bit more than I feel like the average person. But that's neither here nor there. Let's go ahead and move on now to the next game on the list. Philadelphia traveling to the Windy City to take on the Chicago Bears.
Technically, this game does have playoff implications because Philly's gonna win and increase their playoff lead.
yeah. Well, so before we got into the picks, you said that there's not a lot of dud games this week, and I agree that there's more good games than dud games. But this to me highlights this is not going to be entertaining to watch.
Well, is Justin Fields? He's back to playing, right? He played against Green Bay.
Yeah, I did. I think
2 weeks ago.
I don't think it really matters, though. I don't know. Yeah.
No.
If you can't tell, we both have Philly winning this one by a large margin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is. I mean, they're going into Chicago, but like their only play is Justin Fields running the ball.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't think they're going to be able to do that too much. And so it's even in my dynasty league that I'm in. I have David Montgomery, and I don't know if I want to play him or not because I think they're just going to be down. Maybe I can get some garbage time checkdowns, but
maybe they'll run a couple screenplays to him or something.
Maybe, but it's just going to be tough going up against this this Philly defense because who are their receivers now? I'm trying to even think because someone got hurt?
Claypool, N'Keal Harry, Darnell Mooney's out.
He's out. Is St. Brown out? Cole Kmet is a popular target with
I don't know.
With Justin Fields.
They kind of hurt themselves a little bit.
But yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, and that's a sorry list for you're talking about not setting Desmond Ridder up for success. It's like Bears are not doing Justin Fields any favors.
Well, that's why
at all.
So we can debate this another time, but that's why I feel the building a team and then drafting the quarterback is better because the Bears gave away a bunch of draft picks to get Justin Fields, and now they have no draft picks to build around Justin Fields.
Yeah.
And then they're also in cap space hell for this year, I believe. And so they're not going to be able to sign anybody in free agency. So they're in a tough spot. I think Chicago, they're 2 years away from being 2 years away at best.
They're a team because they're going to be picking in the top three. I would not be surprised if they traded back to try and get an extra first rounder for next year.
Yeah. There's a couple teams with two in the back end.
True, but it's going to depend. There is a stud. Will Anderson Jr. is a stud defensive end. I mean, he's the next JJ Watt-esque. Or that's his ceiling. I mean, Lawrence Taylor.
He's not quite that big, but
but just the production and what he's going to bring to the team. But do to take that, and which I'm sure they would, or try and get a pretty nice ransom for someone who's looking for a quarterback. Colts might want to trade up as well. Redskins, maybe. Not the Redskins. Oh, don't do that. But
all right, guys, we're going to go to the next one.
Yeah. So I've been watching Tyler Zed on Zeducation. So it cracks me up every time. He's a Minnesota Vikings fan. I'm sure he's not watching, but
yeah, that'd be cool if he was.
That would be very cool. Someone with 1 million subscribers watching this Rinky Dink football show.
yeah, exactly.
I love it. That would be great. But all being said, though, yeah, Philly's gonna win this game. Chicago's a long ways away.
Yeah, like, they got a lot.
Even
to accomplish.
Even Green Bay has they'll do a pseudo rebuild, but even then, they're just a couple pieces away, I think, from still being contending and being very good.
Yeah, I actually saw a take about Green Bay. We'll talk about that at the very end when we talk about the Rams-Packers game.
Yeah.
But moving on now, let's go to, in my opinion, a knockout. This is a playoff game in December. Whoever loses this game is most likely out of the playoff race.
And who would have thought?
Yeah, exactly.
What were the odds? What were the odds that this game would mean anything at this point when the schedules came out?
Probably 10,000 to 1.
Yeah.
The Detroit Lions are traveling to New York to take on the Jets. Both teams are sitting just outside of the 7 seed in their respective conferences. And frankly, a loss here sets them back because I want to say they both have 1 or 2 games left on the schedule that are really tough. New York still has to go to Miami, which is tough. And I want to say
Lions, they have to play the Bears and the Packers, and then the Giants. No, the Rain. No, they have to play somebody else. But it is definitely a huge playoff implication, and I think that's fair to say. This is essentially the first round.
Bears and Packers.
Panthers, yeah, and that Panthers game, that's also a playoff game for both teams. Yeah. So this is kind of the first round of the playoffs for the Lions and the Jets. I have the Lions winning this game. I just think everyone talks about their secondary and how good Sauce Gardner, or how good the Jets secondary Sauce Gardner, and then who's the other guy? DJ Bell. Is that the other corners? I forget. They're both very good. They're both very good. My issue though for them is they got to cover Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Chark, Khalif Raymond, Josh Reynolds. Now you throw James and Williams in there. That's not including DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams out of the backfield. This offensive line has been playing really well. I last saw that Quentin Williams was kind of was on the fence of playing or not because he's a little banged up. If he doesn't play, that's going to be even less pressure for the offensive line to succeed. And honestly, probably in the biggest part for the Lions, this defensive front has been playing really well. Aiden Hutchinson and company got after Kirk Cousins. I think some of the stats about how awful the Lions defense are in relative to the field, especially just averages right now, might be a little skewed just because of how awful they were at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Once they fire their secondary coach, their secondary has been playing significantly well, or significantly better, I should say. Especially going up against a Jets team that struggles to score. Mike White still hasn't thrown a touchdown. No, that's not true. Didn't throw a touchdown in the past 2 weeks against the Bills or the Vikings, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought he threw a couple against the Vikings.
Let me double check.
But either way, I have Minnesota winning.
Nope. He threw 2 picks.
He threw 2 picks. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I have Detroit winning as well. I just think Detroit is the better team. I think the Jets have lost 3 of their last 4, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll double check right now.
But I just think that Detroit is on an upswing. They're 6-1 in their last 7, and they're playing really good football. I mean, I'm really curious to see, kind of what you mentioned, what their stats are for the second half of the season. And frankly, they really should have won that Bills game. If you had told me that they were going to hold the Bills to 27 points, I'd be like, all right, well.
I mean, what a freak. I mean, what a great play by Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs with that 30-yard pass from the touchback. I mean, you had 10 seconds left. It could have gone to overtime, and in overtime it could be anybody's game. So
yeah, exactly.
Great performance, hung with one of the best teams in the league, if not the best. And the Jets really have struggled, especially once Mike White's come in. I think his first start was against the Bears, where they blew it up. But I mean, that's against the Bears. I mean, they're no good. So, to me, yeah, I disagree. I think Lions have already won a game in at the Meadowlands this year. I think they're going to win another one.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move on to another one that we disagree on. Pittsburgh traveling to Charlotte, North Carolina, take on the Panthers.
Yep.
To me, this is a really interesting one.
Yeah, and this is another one for me. I'll say I have Carolina winning this game, but that's also too under the assumption that Mitch Trubisky is going to be the starter. If Kenny Pickett starts, I'll definitely have to kind of consider this game more. But Mitch Trubisky leading the Steelers definitely has shown like he just has not been able to play nearly as well as Kenny Pickett has. And his offense is nowhere near as explosive. Not saying that it's super explosive under Kenny Pickett, but they're definitely more consistent and I would say more lethal for sure. Yeah. This is going to be a defensive battle. I mean, would not be surprised if this is a 13-10 type game. Yeah. But I have Carolina just barely winning this one. I think they have found something in the running game. And I think Sam Darnold has been playing consistent enough during his past couple to where I think him, DJ Moore, Laviska Shenault will be able to exploit a little bit and just kind of get a lead and maintain a lead against Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be one of those like grinded out games. And so far this season, Pittsburgh has been really good in those types of situations. And I think that that's why Pittsburgh comes out ahead. I think they will find a way to get their playmakers the ball no matter who the quarterback is. And I like the Steelers in this one.
I understand. Yeah, and this is a coin flip one. And like I can honestly, especially if Kenny Pickett does play, I can honestly see myself changing this here. Because one of the things why I lean now with Mitch Trubisky starting, where I lean towards the Panthers, is Brian Burns on the defensive line. Like they'll be able to get after the quarterback because this offensive line for Pittsburgh is still a little weak. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball very well with Najee Harris. Mitch Trubisky's nowhere near as mobile.
Actually, Mitch Trubisky's sneaky athletic.
True, but Kenny Pickett's just better. And I think that's one of the things I think that's one of the things that Kenny Pickett offers that Mitch Trubisky doesn't or doesn't do as well. And that's why they really struggled, because with a weak offensive line, you need to have a shifty quarterback and one that can get out of the pocket. And Kenny Pickett does that better than Mitch Trubisky. So
that's fair.
So I think that this defensive line is going to be getting after the quarterback. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball very well. And J.C. Horn and company, they're going to be able to shut down Deontay Johnson, George Pickett, and Pat Freiermuth. So, but that being said, though, I say all that. The Steelers will do the exact same thing to Carolina.
No, I agree. Yeah.
That's why it's going to be a low-scoring game. Would not be surprised if there's a defensive touchdown in this game.
Not at all. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to a game that I would not describe as a coin flip game. Dallas is traveling to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. Dallas should dominate this game.
It should. But this will be a close. I think this will be a close game.
I'm definitely picking the over. However,
yes.
I just think Dallas, their offense is way too versatile and spread out for anything that Jacksonville's going to be able to cover at this stage. And Trevor Lawrence is having a really good year. However, I still think this Dallas defense is going to give them fits, just how well they get after the passer. So that for me, it's like, I think this could be a 42-28 game.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think Dallas still wins by 2 scores. So.
A Dallas victory as well. Both I think just in general, overall, they have more talent, especially also if you look at the receiver position led by CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup's in number 2, but you have Noah Brown and James Washington both picking up a lot of snaps as well, and a lot of potential that defenses have to watch. And then their 3 tight ends that we talked about: Dalton Schultz, Peyton Hendershot, and then who's their other guy? I'm blanking on their other guy.
Is it Ferguson?
No, I think it's Ferguson. Yeah. So, and we haven't even talked. And we haven't even talked about their backfield. That being said, though, I think Jacksonville deserves some respect here. They put on a great game against Tennessee. Good team effort. As I said, I've been consistent about this. I know Tennessee is not as good as their record states, but still going into Tennessee and beating them fairly handedly. Like they blew them out. And also then as well Dallas. And this is where Dallas – I don't know what Dallas team's going to be showing up. If the Dallas team that shows up that played against Houston last week, Jacksonville has a legit shot. But if it's the Dallas team that goes up against Minnesota, then I don't think Jacksonville has a shot. I think they'll keep it close. But I think it's going to be a good game overall. I think it's going to be high scoring. I think it's going to be a little bit closer. I'm going to go 31-24 Dallas.
31-24. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's possible. I find it hard to picture Dallas coming out on top. Or Dallas not coming out on top.
Yes, but you said that about Houston last week, and Houston was a half yard away from making that a reality. So it's, I mean, that's one thing I think we all forget. All these guys are professionals. They're the best at the world of playing football. They can strike lightning in a bottle, and also the best of the best can sometimes just not have a good day. So Jacksonville's on a roll. They need to stay on a roll if they want to make the playoffs, because there's a shot that they can win the division. So they're going to have to play really well here to keep their hopes alive.
Yeah. Up next, Kansas City is going to Houston, take on the Texans. To me, this is a more exaggerated version of the game we just talked about.
Yes.
Yeah. I think Houston does some things well. However, I think Kansas City is just better. Their offense is too diverse for anything that Houston has been able to cover all year. And I think Kansas City wins by at least 2 scores.
Well, and this is just a talent thing. I mean, Kansas City
coaching,
just has so much. Kansas City just has so much more talent that they are. And honestly, too, and this honestly goes to show how much talent Denver has. We just haven't seen it. But last week, Denver had Kansas City on the ropes before Russ Wilson went out. Kansas City got up to a huge lead, 27-0, yes. But Broncos now, their defense became the Denver defense that we're all used to seeing. Russell Wilson and company actually started to play some offense, started to open some things up. Jerry Jeudy, I think, had 3 touchdowns, one of which was thrown by Brent Rypien, their backup, after Russell Wilson went out. Brent Rypien, sorry. So to me, when I look at that game, Houston, I don't think Houston will be able to do that. Houston does not have that firepower, especially also, too, both Brandon Cooks and Nico Collins were out last week to an injury, so we'll have to see if they come back. Because that's still some firepower, but just not enough overall to keep up with Kansas City. And sorry, I bring up the Denver game because that goes to show how good Denver could have been this season if their offense and Russell Wilson actually formed well, it meshed well together. But Houston won't be able to do that. I don't think Houston's going to be able to keep it close. So,
no, they won't be able to do that. Kansas City, I think, gets into the 40s. I don't want to say easily, but I don't. It's not going to be close at all.
Yeah.
So,
can't agree.
Yeah. Next up, I think a game that has 0 playoff implications whatsoever. Arizona's traveling to Denver for a Cardinals versus Broncos matchup. I think both teams are eliminated from the playoffs.
If not, they're very close. Denver definitely is. Cardinals definitely are now.
Yeah, because I think they're both 4-9.
Technically, they're not because no, but they both have ties. Yeah, so they're officially eliminated. So this is I guess the one game that definitely does not have any playoff implications whatsoever on this.
It's Kyler Murray-less Cardinals taking on a Russell Wilson-less Broncos.
But you can argue might be an improvement for the Broncos. Maybe. I don't know. He was playing really well. I mean, that's one thing. As much crap as he's gotten all year, he, at least in the second and third quarter, he played awful in the first quarter. But I think is when you get down 27 points, you're like, all right, let's just throw the ball.
Let lose, yeah.
So for me, I will say I have Arizona winning this game right now. Part of it, this is another one because I know Kyler Murray's not going to be coming back. I have to see if Russell Wilson comes back. If Russell Wilson comes back, I'm definitely picking the Cardinals. No, I'm just kidding. Well, just have to kind of feel it out. If Brent Rypien, is that his name?
Rypien.
Ian.
Yeah.
Rypien. Okay. I'll have to make sure I won't say with an A. But
do you know where he played college football?
That feels like an Iowa guy.
No, it's a Boise State.
Darn it. Okay. Yeah. I was close. It was Midwest to Mountain West. Close enough. Anyways, though, but the Cardinals, is this in Denver?
Yeah, it's in Denver.
I don't know. I picked Denver so many times when I'm banking on their defense, but then they just don't have anything. I have no confidence in either one of these teams. Right now, I just have the Cardinals winning, but Cardinals have no defense. Well, I take that back. Their secondary is decent.
So the Cardinals on plays of 20 yards or more have a top 5 defense. They are 32nd in almost every other category.
Jesus, really?
yeah.
But it's like in all seriousness, though, it's like, can Brent? Shoot, you just said Rypien.
Yeah,
Rypien. Right. I don't see Brent Rypien like leading a dynamic Denver offense, even though this team sucks, But that being said, though, it's like who from Arizona is going to get after the quarterback?
Yeah, so I have Denver winning. For me, Colt McCoy going up into Denver is a bad matchup as a whole. That offensive line is not good. They gave up 6 sacks to the Patriots. Yeah. And the Patriots have a good pass rush, but Denver has a good pass rush too. And I think you could argue that Denver will most likely get more coverage sacks than New England, just because their secondary is so much better. So for me, I think this Denver defense comes in. Colt McCoy has a really rough day. One of the things that, like with Arizona, that I didn't like was they quit in the fourth quarter of the New England game.
They did after that Hopkins fumble return for a touchdown. And I'm like, it's like they just stopped playing football.
Yeah. And I think they just kind of gave up. Like, it was whatever. It doesn't sound like Zach Ertz is going to be back for them this week.
No, I'm pretty sure. I thought he had
he's out for the season.
He had a season-ending injury.
No, he had like foot surgery and he's eligible to come off IR, I thought. I'm not.
I'll double check. Finish your thought.
But I just think Denver. I mean, if you could hold DeAndre Hopkins, it looks like that offense just kind of gives up. They're struggling to run the ball. That offensive line is pretty banged up. So I just think Denver comes out on top. I think it's like a 17-14 type of game.
Yeah, no. So Zach Ertz had season-ending injury.
Okay.
It says here torn his MCL ACL.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think he'll be coming off IR until 2023. And you make good points. This is definitely one. So we had a Denver game earlier in the year. I think it was a Carolina. I was like, I just don't really want to pick either one of these teams.
No,
this is definitely on the docket, I think, for me to potentially change my pick over. Just kind of as more information comes out. So they had bright spots, but for me, they can't run the ball very well. I think Marquise Brown has potential, but as of right now, it's just not living up to it as a good number 2 with DeAndre Hopkins. So I just think I think that they are. I think they're going to win the game right now, but but neither one of those teams are going to win the game of life this season. So
no, not at all.
Let's
get a good draft pick though.
They will get not Denver.
Oh, that's true. Seattle's going to get a good draft pick.
Yep. New England versus Las Vegas. Let's continue the Monday Night Football trend. I guess Week 14 Monday Night Football trend. Who do you have winning this game?
So I have New England. I don't know what it is with this Raiders team, but like they just cannot put up points consistently. Like,
no.
That Rams defense had Jalen Ramsey and then like was all practice squad guys. They like Derek Carr was getting sacked. Like their receivers weren't getting separation. I don't know what was going on, but it was just a very poor performance. And they also let off the gas and then could not get going again after they got up 16.
Yeah.
And this defense, it's been playing better, but situationally, they're just not very smart. For example, with Baker Mayfield on that 98-yard whatever touchdown drive, they were playing single high safety with press man on an outside wide receiver. That ball, was that Van Jefferson that he threw the touchdown to? The final one?
It was him or Robinson. But I think actually Robinson's hurt. Yeah, I think it was Jefferson. Yeah, that's one of the things even Baker Mayfield said in his post-game press conference. They're like, tell us about that final play. And he's like, to be honest, I was surprised that they were in press coverage because Rams had no timeouts. They everyone knew that they had to get a field goal. A touchdown. And a tackle in the middle field might have ended the game. So
and my thing is, it's like if you're the defense in that situation, Baker Mayfield has been in that offense literally for 2 days, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah. And it's like, all right, I'm just going to play cover 2. I'm going to make him have to make a read instead of just, all right, well, I got press man one-on-one on the outside with single high safety. Fuck it. Like, I'm just going to throw it up. Like, it makes no sense to me. I also think this front, if New England gets their starting right tackle back, they'll, for the first time that Mac Jones has played this year, he will have all 5 starting linemen back.
It'll be big.
Since week 1. So for me, I think if they can do that, they'll be able to run the ball fairly effectively. And the 2 rookies for New England showed something. Another big caveat is if Jacoby Myers and Devontae Parker are both out with concussions this week. I don't expect them to schematically fix anything because it's been the same all year. However, if they get those guys back, I think matchup-wise, it makes it even harder for the Raiders.
Well, so one of the big – I agree with you. That's a good point. And there are some things that could make me switch to picking the Raiders here. But I have New England as of right now. I do think that they overall are the better team. But that being said, though,
the Raiders or the Patriots?
The Patriots.
Okay.
Yeah, just because I think on defense you guys are far superior. On offense, if you look at it, the Raiders' offensive line is pretty good. They've definitely improved a lot with Josh Jacobs playing well. No one's better than Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is the best player on both teams, hands down. However, if you look at the Raiders, they don't really have too many other people. I did see that they're going to be bringing back Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller off IR. So they are available. I believe they will be available for this week.
Yeah.
So that would be a little bit different, something to consider as well.
Yeah.
I just don't think I think that they are going to struggle against a really good Patriots defense, and I think the Patriots are going to be able to move the ball down the field enough and exploit some of the vulnerabilities of this Raider defense.
My thing is like the Raiders can't make mistakes. Like that game against the Cardinals, I think, is the perfect key, right? It's 13-13 going into the fourth quarter. Like third play of the fourth quarter, DeAndre Hopkins is carrying the football like it's a picnic basket, and he drops it. Like I'm not even going to call it a forced fumble. Like he just drops it, and it's like Patriots pick it up, run it for a touchdown. And then not only is that deflating for your offense because you were already you came off your goal line and you were at the 30, but then that's New England's bread and butter, right? They're going to let that pass rush just pin their ears back. They're going to get after you late in the fourth quarter, and then it's like, all right, well, we'll just play zone because now we don't have to play man, and you have to throw into our zone. And it's like New England's defense is very well coached. especially situationally in those things. And the Raiders cannot do that. They cannot let New England hang around into the fourth quarter and then make mistakes.
Yeah.
So
I could see a world where the Raiders, for sure, like if the Raiders start out hot and like let's say they get up 14-3 or something like that. I can see that being a recipe for disaster for you guys, because that forces you guys to have to throw the ball, and that is not your guys' bread and butter.
Our two top
all.
wide receivers are both out with concussions.
Could
most likely.
I can see Jacoby Myers coming back, because typically from what I've seen, it's normally now 1 week. It's normally like
you miss the next game.
Yeah, you missed the next game more than likely.
He got a concussion on a Thursday night game, and then the whole week. Now he has a whole other week.
Yeah.
So hopefully
he should be good.
The Devontae Parker thing, that's a scary situation. I think the NFL really dropped the ball. I hope he can come back before the end of the year, because there's a couple games I think we're really going to need him.
That's definitely one we'll have to, because we were planning on talking about it last night, but I just don't think we ended up really doing it because we were talking about other things. And but that's one we'll need to chalk down and remember that moment, because that's one where with everything that happened, it's just a continuation of dropping the ball, and it's just the inconsistency. It's the inconsistency with everything. You know, with the roughing the passer calls to then the players coming out because they think they might have a concussion, but the player's like, I was completely fine the entire time.
Well, but that to me is what's scary. It's like, I don't know if it's just because he's not a star player or what, but like the whole Tua thing, like at least there's some vagueness on like whether he was actually diagnosed with a concussion in the Bills game. And like, he gets up and he's wobbly, but they're like, oh, like he's having back spasms because he jerked his neck back really fast. And it's like, okay, that is kind of BS, but it's also somewhat understandable. With like Devontae Parker, the man for 20 seconds could not stand up.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like he's wobbling around trying to get back to the line of scrimmage. And it's like they are not stopping play. Like, and so I just think the NFL needs to do a better job of that. I hope he can come back. He's not going to make it back this week, but the Bengals and Dolphins, 2 games I think we're really going to need him for down the stretch. So
I agree. So it's something that they'll need to monitor, and we'll definitely be talking about a lot more in the offseason. So let's move on though now to the next game. One that we disagree on, and one I'm actually, I know I've said a lot of caveats on the ones that we disagree on. I'm probably not going to be changing my pick on this one at all. It's the Tennessee Titans are going to the Los Angeles Chargers. I have Los Angeles winning this one, and this goes back to like what I said earlier. It's like Tennessee got stomped by Jacksonville, and they got stomped. I mean, Jacksonville honestly actually plays probably a pretty similar game to Los Angeles. And they just wiped them off the floor. I think you can make an argument maybe that the Jags defense is a little bit better than the Chargers.
And their O-line.
And their O-line. Yeah. Maybe their quarterback, receivers, and running back as well. Maybe their punter and kicker. But other than that, they're about the same. No, I'm just kidding. But also, I think Justin Herbert's playing well. They have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams back now, and Joshua Palmer has been playing great. So, I mean, you have 3 great receivers right there. Gerald Everett's a good tight end. I would not be surprised if the Chargers take Michael Mayers with their first overall pick, depending on where they pick, because he's going to be the best tight end in this draft class. And I think you get that tight end, or maybe even a Jackson Smith Njigba. This offense could be crazy because
I would like
their offensive line is decimated this year, and they're going to come back even stronger. Austin Eckler's been playing great. Justin Herbert's been playing great. This team, I mean, you mentioned a couple weeks ago where you listed off all the guys that have had either season-ending injuries or long-term injuries where they've been on IR. It was like 9 or 10 guys. Like this team is good. They just have been riddled with the injury bug.
Yeah. I mean, you think about both tackles and their star center missed extended periods of time. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, their 2 best wide receivers, extended period of time. And then you go Joey Bosa, missed extended period of time. Derwin James, J.C. Jackson, that's already 8 right there. that have missed extended periods of time or are out for the season.
When is Joey Bosa coming back?
I think he is back. I want to say he's been back for a couple weeks.
No, it's looking like it's according to Sportskeeda. I don't know what that is. Will the Los Angeles Chargers linebacker play in Week 15?
Okay.
Surgery was a success. His return to the NFL has been highly anticipated by the Chargers faithful. Some NFL fans are also eager to know whether the 4-time Pro Bowler will play against the Titans. So it looks like it is potentially possible. Come back. Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Staley said Slater is weeks away, but there is potential for him to return this season.
So that sounds like that'd be like a Week 18.
Yeah, Week 17, Week 18.
Yeah. I mean, if they do, especially those two guys, because...
I mean, those are core pieces.
Well, because and it's the trenches, too. I mean, that is where you win football games, and that's where they've struggled tremendously over the past couple of years, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But getting Rashawn Slater, getting Joey Bosa made them very tough in the interior, or at minimum improved a lot in the interior. That all being said, let's say Joey Bosa does come back. That definitely even more, for me, solidifies why they're going to win this game, because I think that this Tennessee offensive line, actually, honestly, outside of Derrick Henry, there's not too many good pieces on this Titans team.
Yeah.
Mike Vrabel is one of the best coaches in the league. Should be up for Coach of the Year considerations every year. And so for me, that I just don't think they have the talent. Yeah. The way they win this game is the fact that if the Chargers make a bunch of errors.
Yeah, I actually just changed my pick.
I know. I figured you would. That was the one I needed you to.
Yeah,
our competition's close.
So my reasoning behind it was just that
I'm right and you're wrong.
No,
I'm just kidding.
I was going to say behind me picking Tennessee originally
just
I think Tennessee is going to come in with that conservative game plan. They're going to pound the ball with Derrick Henry and then try to get it out like over the middle to some of their receivers. And I'm like, okay, but you can't do that when you're down 14-0 in going into the third quarter. Like, because I think even if this Titans defense plays well, it's going to look like a 27, 28-point game for the Chargers. And I just don't think, even if Derrick Henry goes bananas, he's going to be their only level of offense.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to really be able to throw the ball, in my opinion.
It's similar to your Patriots on how they play their offense. Like, there's not too many big explosive plays, but if they do, it has to be set up through the run. And that's one thing too. The Titans have done really well, and what Derrick Henry brings to the table is the play action.
Well,
so every team is susceptible to that play action. However, I think you only get bid on it a couple times a game at most. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. But so to be fair, everybody schemes things up.
Fair.
You have to set up plays. The difference is some teams can scheme up just straight up mismatches, right?
No.
Like the Dolphins of the world with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Whereas teams like the Patriots and the Titans, they have to scheme up confusion on the other team, and that is what takes time to set up, because you can't just be like, hey, if they come out in motion and like they're single high and he's leaning towards one side, pull a guy in motion, and then it's like you have a one-on-one and like you can go there. Whereas like the Titans don't have anybody that's like that you could go in motion and be like, all right, he has an advantage in one-on-one. Like there's nobody like that on the Titans.
Yeah. Treylon Burks could be that guy.
He just can't.
But he's not there. He's a rookie. He's not there yet. He's not he's not elite.
We have seen that with rookies in the past, especially at like the receiver and some of the more skill position players. They come in their rookie year, they're all banged up. It is a lot. One of the things I think that's underestimated in rookies is it's a lot to play college football. And then when you declare for the draft, you're not just like sitting around waiting for April. You're doing workouts. You're playing in Shrine Bowl or like other like scout games.
That's a good point.
And then you're in training for the combine. And then after the combine, you're a couple weeks away from the draft. You're doing team interviews, team workouts. You're traveling to these places. And then right after the draft, you're going into rookie minicamp at the beginning of May. And it's like they have been playing football now for a year and a half, 2 years straight. And it's like your body's not meant for that.
Well, and that's even including then also all the life changes that are just regularly going on. It's like you go from obviously like you're living in a dorm, but then you said now you're like all the moving that you just do just in general. And then even like after you get drafted, then you go to into rookie minicamp. You're trying to find a place to live, trying to move some stuff up there. Like, and that's a great point. I honestly actually never even thought about that, about how tough it is just for rookies just in general for how the year is. Because you're right. It kind of never really thought about it, but it is, man, that is a jam-packed year that they have to go through. So, but they're young. So
they are young and they're making a lot of money to do it, but it's rigorous and hard on the body. But that's why you usually hear of like the second year leap, because they get an off season, they get to go and train with their team and do all that. And then, and actually like recover. And they're not just going through that process. So, anyways, we got a little off track, but we both have the Chargers winning that game. The last non-primetime game of Week 15, Cincinnati is traveling down south to Tampa Bay to take on Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. This should be a slaughter.
Yeah, it should be. It's like I expected San Francisco to win that Tampa Bay game. I think we all did, even with Brock Purdy. Did not expect it to go that poorly.
Oh,
now, Cincinnati's defense isn't as good as San Francisco's, but to be fair, no one's is.
Yeah.
So, Tampa Bay's just struggling to put up points. Like they have really been struggling. When was the last time? I need to check their schedule. When was the last time they put up more than 21 points?
Oh, long time.
Jesus. 21 against the Seahawks on November 13th. They put up 22 on October 27th. Wow, they've only put up more than 21 points twice this season. 22 against the Ravens, which they lost that game. And then 31 against the Chiefs, which they lost that game.
Jeez.
So, it's like the Bengals. I can already tell you right now, the Bengals are going to have, at worst, 24 points. Right?
Yeah.
Like, at worst.
And that's if I think they revert back to what they were doing in the first half of the season. Yeah, I don't see a way. This Bucs defense is good, but it's not going to be able to stop Joe Burrow. And
think about how many 3-and-out. At least from the San Francisco game, it just felt like that Tampa defense was on the field the entire game. So at least the first half, because I stopped watching it after the first half because I think Fox News changed the game of the week. But it felt like they were on the field the entire time. Constant 3-and-outs, or if they got a first down, they were not on the field for that much longer. Never really threatened to score until they were down 3 or 4 touchdowns. So to me, I don't see a way that Cincinnati loses this game unless if Tampa Bay defense plays out of its freaking mind and somehow stops.
They're going to have to.
Yeah.
They're going to
have
That's
to.
the only way.
Hey,
they need a defensive score. Like they need a lot of help.
Shoot, even if Tampa Bay defense plays out of their mind, Cincinnati's still going to probably score 21 points. I don't think Tampa Bay can do that.
Yeah. Not against that pass rush, because eventually they're just going to pin their ears back and get after it.
Yeah.
So,
let's 2 more games. Let's move on to the Sunday Night Football game, NFC East matchup and wild card matchup. Big game. The New York Giants are going to Washington to play. Both these teams tied 2 weeks ago, so they're essentially just going to be kind of continuing that game starting at 20. Who do you think is going to end up winning that game?
So I have the Washington football team winning. I think that they have the same record, don't they? They're both 7-5-1.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I just think the trajectory of each team I think Washington's going up, and the Giants are kind of like trying to stay afloat.
Yeah.
Washington has the better defense. I also strangely think that they have the more explosive offense coming into it. I think if both teams were healthy, my pick would probably be different. But the Giants just have no receivers left. Like,
yeah,
they're done.
That's my biggest. I'm picking Washington also. It's not really more that I really like Washington, but it's more that the Giants team is not the team from what it was earlier in the season when everyone was healthy, and they were a dual threat, kind of more balanced offense to Saquon Barkley because so many people are hurt. I mean, you have Darius Slayton and Richie James are your top two receivers.
Yeah,
so exactly. it's just not a recipe for success. Taylor Heineke he's been leading that team. I mean, the guys like playing for him and with him. This defense has really picked it up as well. I also think too, Washington's coming off a bye. New York just got stomped by Philadelphia, and so I think coming off that extra rest at home, I think Washington's going to win this game. But it's not really like I'm not super impressed really with either team, as much as this is just my opinion on the matter, obviously. But Taylor Heineke is winning games, yes, but this offense isn't as explosive with him leading the way. Definitely, I think hindering the passing game a lot more. As much as people want to complain about Carson Wentz not winning games and everything like that, he does add another layer that Taylor Heineke doesn't have in the throwing department. Because Washington honestly has a really good receiver set with Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, and Jahan Dotson. Brian Robinson, also leading the way in the backfield, has been playing really well. So, as I said, they win games with Taylor Heineke, and I think he can take them to the playoffs. He's playing well. But then, as I said, he is consistent. You know what you're getting from him week in, week out. With Carson Wentz, you're not. So that's why, I don't fault
for doing that
for going with Taylor Heineke. It's just if Carson Wentz could be the Carson Wentz that we're used to seeing before, or that we saw before he tore his ACL when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, this offense could be legit. I know that was 5 years ago. I completely get it.
But that's also he never would have left Philadelphia. Then he would have been an MVP. Like all this stuff would have happened. And then,
butterfly effect and everything. And that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. But you got to go with the hot hand. Taylor Heineke is the hot hand. Hey, Tim Tebow took Denver to the playoffs. So it's like
won a game and won a playoff game.
God, such a joke. Such an awful. That was Pittsburgh's dominating that whole game, then all of a sudden they want to do cover 3 the entire fourth quarter, make Tim Tebow look like a god.
I would say dominating. It was like a 17 or a 24-17, right? Was the final score?
Well, yeah, no, but I think wasn't like 17-3 going into the fourth quarter.
Possibly, I don't know.
Denver. I think what was the stat? He was like 3 for 10 going into the fourth quarter or something like that.
Yeah,
and then it hits Demaryius Thomas, I think, for the game-winning touchdown run. RIP.
Yeah, it was Demaryius Thomas in his rookie season.
Yeah,
that was
man, that was so long ago.
I know.
Jeez.
Actually, I want to say that was when Josh McDaniels was the coach.
Was that 2009? Was that really that long ago?
Might have been. It might have been 2011.
Well, because Tebow was in Florida for what, 06 to 09? So maybe it was 2011, like the playoffs. 2010 season.
2011 season happened in 2012.
Jeez. Yeah. Man, I'm old. That was a decade ago. I was a teenager.
I want to know who the coach was, though. I'm trying to think.
I don't think it was Josh McDaniels. Was it? No, it was the former Carolina guy. Short white guy, white hair. Because Peyton Manning went there the next year.
Fox.
Yeah.
John Fox or whatever.
Is that what it is? Now we're way off topic.
I know, yeah.
We're way off topic.
John Fox. Look at that.
That's it. Okay, yeah. Because Peyton Manning went there the next year, right?
Yeah, but then John Fox was there.
And then Vic Fangio.
And then Gary Kubiak was the
Gary
coach.
Kubiak, that's who it was. And then Fangio was after that, I think.
Yeah.
And I'll look it up. So, but let's wrap this up, though. Go to the Monday Night Football game. You can argue that, I know we're talking about playoff implications and nearly
this
game.
has the least, almost.
Technically, Green Bay's still in there. But, yeah, no, they're out of it. Going up against Baker Mayfield, speaking of gods, Baker Mayfield is going into Lambeau. This is just a weird one because I don't know. Because it's like Green Bay's been playing so poorly, and they're essentially out of the playoffs. However, their rookie receivers are starting to come along, so there is some potential for next year. And honestly, then just because of all the injuries with Los Angeles, they do have some game film on how Baker Mayfield plays within the system. I just think Green Bay at Lambeau Monday night, I think they're just going to win this one. It's not going to be a pretty game, but I think it's going to be like a 27-14 type game.
Yeah,
well, because it's one of those things too. Because
Green Bay isn't going to beat themselves like the way that the Raiders did.
Well, as I was going to say, it's so tough because we all remember the final 4 minutes of that game and how that offense explodes. But Raiders just would have kept playing the same way that they were, I think, for the entire time. Then I think they stopped. They stop Los Angeles, and they don't have these stupid penalties, 30 yards worth of personal foul or pass interference penalties.
No, yeah,
they win that game easily. Well, not easily, but like they don't go down and make the 98-minute drive. Or the 98-yard drive. Yes, I don't know why I was struggling with that, but and I don't think Green Bay is going to do that. Yes, Green Bay's defense is weak, but who really is from this Los Angeles team is really scares you offensively? I mean, Cam Akers doesn't. Ben Skowronek, I think, is now their
I have no
number
idea
one.
How to pronounce that one.
Yeah,
and I'm the name guy. I have no idea.
I know, yeah, and he's white too. Normally, but the Tyler Higbee, like he doesn't scare me at all. Tutu Atwell, I think he has some potential. He's a rookie, right? They drafted him
second year.
He's
out of Louisville.
Yeah,
he's a second round draft pick, but he was really drafted maybe a little too high. Speed guy, like low 4.3.
It's an opportunity for him to kind of show what he can do with all these other injuries.
He's actually running good routes and stuff on Thursday.
So. But even like Van Jefferson doesn't really scare me that much. Like I don't think he's really scared.
He's a
Green
good
Bay.
complement piece. To me, their offense, like their receiving group, reminds me of the Patriots. They have a bunch of good complement pieces, right? And usually with Cooper Kupp, then that's who everybody compliments. But they just without Cooper Kupp, it's chaos. So I have Green Bay winning as well. I just think they're the better team. Going into Lambeau in late December is kind of like what we talked about with Miami traveling to Buffalo. It's hard for these Southern or Dome teams to really go up north and play in the cold. Similar how it is for like northern teams to go and play in the humidity down south. So I do. So I think that's going to kind of wrap up picks. But I did hear a take by Colin Cowherd. Is that, I don't know how you
Coward. That's what I thought. Yeah.
But he was saying that Jordan Love, if Aaron Rodgers returns to the Packers, is going to request a trade from Green Bay. And I actually agree with them because Aaron Rodgers still has another year on his contract. What the Packers could do, potentially, package him up in a deal with a team that could be an elite quarterback away, that has a plethora of draft picks, named the Seattle Seahawks. And I know Geno Smith is playing well, but frankly, Aaron Rodgers would take that offense to a whole nother level. And then it's like you have two elite tackles. You'll get Kenneth Walker back from injury next year. You have elite wide receivers. So then you take the draft picks that you have left and you address the defense. And then you also have a plethora of cap money. outside of Aaron Rodgers to go and build that defense again. And it's like, all right, and then you're competing for the next 2 years. So
yeah. Well, for initially, I thought you were actually talking about sending Jordan Love to Seattle. But anyway, but that got me thinking though. What if you sent? I don't know if Houston would give up a first round pick for Jordan Love, I guess, but send a team who needs a quarterback, Houston or Carolina, take and then trade him for a first round pick, because that's what Carolina, Indianapolis, Houston, they're all going to be using their first round picks on one of these, or they should be using them on one of these quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And
that's debatable, but we'll see.
True. We'll have to kind of see what keeps coming out. But sending there's no guarantee that they would want to give up a first round pick for a backup quarterback who hasn't really proven too much in the NFL. But I mean, the little bit I saw when they played Philadelphia, like Jordan Love looked much better than what I remember. I mean,
yeah. In the Kansas City game, he threw some nice passes. He just was tentative. Like you could tell he was nervous. And he maybe wasn't like nearly as developed as he was against Philadelphia.
Yeah,
this year.
And one of the things also is like whenever Green Bay does get eliminated, Aaron Rodgers, I think he broke his thumb. He's got his rib stuff. I would not be surprised if he shuts it down for the season, and they say, okay, like go get surgeries, and then they start Jordan Love, because it's his third year now, right?
Yeah, he's a third-year guy.
Yeah, so like they need to make a decision. Also, if you're Jordan Love, I would almost request to be traded if they don't trade Aaron Rodgers, to be like, I have one more year left on this contract, and then all of a sudden I'm a free agent. You know, it's great to be.
He has a fifth-year option.
No, he does have a fifth-year option. That's true. Yeah, because he was drafted first overall.
First.
But be like, first round. But I would request to be traded, because there are teams I think that they would take a flyer on him.
Like I know Jared Goff's been playing well, but like Detroit, that if he is better than Jared Goff, that could take that to an elite level. I doubt the Packers would trade him inside the division. I mean, Miami might be a team that could be looking to splurge. And maybe try to get an upgrade there, because especially in the second half of the season, Tua's not looking great. And could you imagine if they go out and get a Jordan Love with his arm strength and what he can do with the football? That would be terrifying.
Well, and that's where I'm very curious on the options I'm very curious on this offseason, because I think we're going to see a lot of changes and a lot of teams make some franchise deciding moves, especially stuff like that. Maybe Aaron Rodgers retires. I don't think he will. That I don't think is. But at the same time, though, maybe. Green Bay.
He's 39.
Well, that's what I think. Green Bay's like, if we like this kid, it's like Aaron Rodgers hasn't led us to a Super Bowl in 12 years. You know, it's like they've given him.
They've only won like one playoff game or two playoff games in like 6 years.
Yeah.
And that was when they went to the NFC Championship against the Falcons.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they went to the NFC Championship against the Niners the year they won, but then just got absolutely stomped.
Yeah.
Not the year the Niners won, the year the Chiefs won, actually. And this year, like, a lot of it's not Aaron Rodgers' fault, because they didn't draft any receivers or groom or like grow any of these prospects within the system. So that definitely took some time. But there was a lot of other issues as well for this Packers team, and maybe they just say, "Screw it, we're going to trade you," or maybe he wants to be a trade, or be like, "Hey, we're going to kind of force Aaron Rodgers' hand, be like, hey, we're going to go with Jordan Love."
Yeah,
and then that's where you said like he's going to request to be traded. But I can also see if they go with Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love being like, I would like to be traded because I don't want to sit for another year. I would like to have an opportunity to start.
No, I mean, I agree. It's going to be really interesting to see how it all plays out. I just think that's an interesting take, because you have this young quarterback with this young core of key players on offense and defense. It's like that, like there's a clear transition like brewing in Green Bay. So I think it'll be interesting. That's something we can talk about, though, come March, when free agency and the draft are in full swing. And I think that's going to wrap up this episode here of the Tracy Take. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and hit that bell notification so we can ping you every time we go live. Other than that, we